Yesterday, I gave you three things in one lesson. I hope that wasn't too much. One of them was how do you divide when it's in a sentence? Find the quotient of this and that. Well, the answer was the second number. It's basically the first number divided by the second number. Find the quotient of 6 divided by 0. Find the quotient of 0 divided by 6. So, and represents the division symbol. Now, what I didn't talk to you about was division problems that have 0 in it. So let me talk to you about that today. If you might remember, I think yesterday I used 2 and 8 and I put the numbers into a fraction as our division symbol, a fraction bar, as opposed to the old-fashioned division sign. So I'm going to do that again today because I think it makes it a little easier to understand this. So the quotient of 6 and 0 would be 6 over 0, which is saying 6 divided by 0. The quotient of 0 and 6 would be 0 divided by 6, 0 over 6. Now, these are two different answers. One of them, the answer is 0. The other one, the answer is not 0, which seems weird because you're probably used to like multiplying and dividing with 0 and the answer always being 0. To understand this, you have to think back to what does it mean to be a fraction? It means you're splitting something up into parts, and the bottom number is how many parts you're splitting it up to. So let's start with the second one first. We have 6 in the denominator. That would mean that you have, say, 6 pieces of pizza, and I'm taking 0 of them. How many pieces do I have? I have 0. I have 0 out of 6. I have 0. So if you're dividing and 0 is in the numerator or 0 comes first in your sentence, your answer is 0. If it comes second and 0 is in the denominator, this is saying I'm taking 6 pieces from nothing. This is saying there are no pieces, but yet somehow I have 6 of them. That is impossible. So I do not have 0 pieces per se. It's just impossible to figure out. I can't take 6 from nothing. So the answer to this is undefined. There is no answer. It's not just 0. It's not even 0. It's nothing. It's not any number. All right, if you try and check me with your calculator and you do 6 divided by 0, it's going to come up some kind of error message, or it'll say undefined or the empty set. It'll say something besides a number. It won't be a number. It won't even be 0. This is going to be really hard for you to remember on a test on if you don't remember the fraction. If you're not using the fraction on this problem, you're going to have a hard time remembering, 0 comes second. Was that the answer 0 or 0 comes first? Is that the one that's 0? Which one's undefined? Which one's 0? You might remember that you only have two choices, undefined or 0, but you're most likely not going to remember which one is which just by looking at the numbers and which ones come first in the sentence. You're going to have to put it into a fraction form. That's the only way you're going to remember. It's the easiest way to remember that if 0 is in the denominator, it's undefined because you can look at this and say, I can't have 6 of nothing. You can look at this and say, I can have none of those 6 pieces. There might be a box of 6 pieces in there, and I am not getting any of them. I'm starving. I want one, but I don't have any. I have none. I have 0 of 6. But you can't open up a box and say, there's nothing there, but somehow I'm taking 6 pieces anyways. That's not possible. Okay, so try and get in the habit of when you find a quotient of some number and another one, to turn it into fraction form. Excuse me. All right, another thing that I wanted to show you today before I release you onto the do section is splitting up a fraction. So let's do the pizza thing again. Let's say there's a 4/6 of a pizza left. So there's 6 pieces in there originally, and now there's 4 left. There's still 4 out of the 6 pieces left. That's good. It's not bad. That's enough to be a good lunch there for you. But it's not just for you. It's for 3 people. So all 3 of you are going to get an equal amount of pizza. Well, you're going to have to cut those pieces up into smaller pieces, because you can't split 4 evenly 3 times unless you start cutting them up, making a bunch of little pieces, and then maybe you can each take the same amount of little pieces. So how do you split 4/6 evenly between 3 people? Well, you want to divide this by 3. You want to divide that into 3 equal parts. This is a division problem. So it's basically 4/6 divided by 3. Now, when it comes to dividing with fractions, the rule is, hopefully one that you've heard before, keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. You keep the first number, you change this to multiplication, and you flip the second number. Keep, change, flip. So it's actually turns it into a multiplication problem, and you take the reciprocal of 3. That means you turn it into 1/3. You flip it upside down. Remember, a whole number is the same thing as over 1, so we're going to flip that, put the 1 on top and the 3 on the bottom. Now you can multiply. When you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. So this would be 4/18. And that does not reduce. So imagine that. You took these 4/6 of a pizza and you split it into 18 pieces, and you each get 4 of them. So I got 4/18, you got 4/18, and the dog got 4/18. If you add those 3 parts together, that's 4 plus 4 plus 4, that's 12. That's 12/18, and 12/18 reduces to 2/3, which 4/6 reduces to 2/3. So it works. This is just checking your work to make sure that number is right. If you're not sure if that number is right, you can add it together as many times as you divided it by. If you divided it by 4, you would add this together 4 times. But we divided it into 3 piles. So we're going to add this together 3 times and hopefully get back to where we started. If we do, then we did our math right. And we did, so we got our math right. Yay. Pat on the back, everybody. Okay, so that's how you divide a fraction. If you want to divide a fraction by 5, then you would multiply it by 1/5. You always turn a division problem with fractions into a multiplication problem by flipping the second number. All right, so you do have problems like that you have to try and do today. And you have more of the same from yesterday. So yesterday's video is not gone and lost forever now that it's a day old and you've watched it once. It still can be helpful with the problems that you have today. So if today's video didn't exactly address some of the problems that you might have to do today, yesterday's video did. So everything you need to know is either in today's video or yesterday's video to do Tuesday's problems.